If you've ever felt like you're doing all the right things in business, creating content, launching, building funnels, but the results still don't match the effort, then this episode is going to hit home. Today, I am joined by Michelle Fernandez, a marketing strategist and funnel expert known for what she calls the 1% conversion effect, a method that focuses on little tiny tweaks that create massive profit momentum. Michelle helps online entrepreneurs like you stop burning everything down every time something isn't working exactly as you had planned, and instead build systems that quietly improve conversions and sales over time. In this conversation, we're talking about why more effort isn't usually the answer when sales feel stuck, the very small funnel adjustments that can dramatically improve conversions, and how to build back-end systems that actually support a life-first business. If you're ready to work smarter instead of louder, you're going to love this episode. Hi, Michelle. Welcome to the Crush the Rush podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today and talking about, I think, is one of my favorite topics.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. We had actually had this scheduled a while back ago, and then we couldn't do it. So this has been like highly anticipating to have this conversation. I can't wait to dive in.
Yeah, I know. It's been on the calendar for a while, and I think it's a really, really important topic. Before we dive in, we like to ask everyone, what does building a life-first business mean to you right now?
Yes. Well, for me right now, at my age, building a life-first business means basically just that, right? Supporting my life. I've spent so many years feeling like I always had to be on, right? Always checking something, always thinking about what needs to be fixed and optimized. Like even I'm just talking about in my online business, right?
Yeah.
And like working from home, it's like this blurred line where it's like, okay, you gotta get dressed, put your makeup on. I do the business mullet, but you come in and work, right? Like that was like a struggle coming from the 9 to 5 over here. But then there's always that, oh, well, your office is right there. Let me just run in. So it's like, when do you stop? Right? So I struggle with that, you know? So life first with me looks like being able to just like, okay, I'm shutting the computer. I'm going to close the door and actually being done for the day without feeling like I should go back and do one more thing, and really having those systems that run, right? Where a team can handle it, or it's just like automated, right? Yeah. Nothing is going to fall apart if I step away because at this stage of, especially of my life, my business, success isn't really about working more. It's about being able to enjoy my husband, travel. I have twins too.
I know, it's so crazy.
Live in separate states, so it's like between traveling for fun and traveling to see them, going to events and things like that, knowing that everything is still moving forward is so important right now.
Yeah, I love it. I can't imagine if my girls lived in separate states. I don't know what I would do. Like, I feel like they're so close. Like, I don't know if I see that happening, but I'm like, I would have to like split my time very equally between both.
Well, you know, I don't know if we talked about this the first time we met, but like even when they're in school, it's like, do I put them in the same class or not? And then when they went to college, I was like, wait a minute, how are you? Because they did go to separate high schools because they went to all boys, all girls. So you're lucky that you have 2 of each. Right. So I was like, wait, are their graduations going to be on the same day? Or that was very trying on that.
Oh my God. We're going to have you back for like a whole parenting episode. Please. But I love that. I mean, the goal is that you have a business that supports those aspects so that you can go to different states and you can go to 2 graduations. I'm curious because I think a lot of people listening, and, you know, I experienced this too, where you know, Slack never turns off and the emails never turn off. What is something that helps you like truly step away?
Yeah. Turn off the notifications. You know, Slack, I battle with Slack. It's like, I know customers like it and I'm like, yeah, I don't like it. And I also, to step away, literally, I have to close the door.
Yeah.
Because like, you know, every time I have one of my rooms in my house. So it's like every time I walk by it, I'm like, or do I just bring my laptop to sit on the sofa. And I'm like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
going to do that. And one of the biggest things for me is I know you have your planner. I have a daily list of things to do. And it's like,
Yeah.
I make sure it's manageable, where it's not like I schedule way too much for myself, because in my brain, the way my brain works, it's like I have to check the boxes that I did it all. So if there's something pending, it just eats me. But I feel so good if I know it's manageable. And I'm like, you know what? I could, but I don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really, really helpful.
I love that. So you are definitely an expert in systems and automations. And I want to start a little bit higher level. And that is, you've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs in your career. And I think, and I get this question a lot, is you're putting in a lot of work, you're putting in the effort, but you're not seeing a lot of results. And so a lot of times I'll get, well, I'm doing all the things. I mean, I even say this to myself, like, I'm doing all the things. Why is this not happening? What do you usually see happening behind the scenes when somebody feels in this cycle?
Right. So, I mean, I'm totally guilty. So even though I see it in other people, it's like, when I see it in other people, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not in this alone. So if that's you too, like, you are not alone. It's because they're most of the time running their business blind, right? They're putting in the effort, like posting, launching, webinars, all the things. They're not actually tracking the numbers. And if they are, a lot of times they're like, okay, I have this data. I don't know what it means, or I don't know what I'm supposed to do to fix it. And then they hear this advice. Like, how many times have you been to a conference where you're sitting in the audience and like a guru's like, don't give up. Like, you keep going because I did this for a year and whatever. And, and then in comes like the picture of the miner, and it's like gives up, and like the gold is just like another thing away, But it's like, what happens is when you repeat things over and over, it's like that insanity, right? With getting the same results without actually looking and then making the decision to move forward. So you become in this loop. And what I see behind the scenes is that they need more visibility into what's actually happening in their funnels, in their sales process, in their customer journey, so they can make the right adjustment instead of guessing every time. Because that's the other thing I hear. It's like, I did this launch and, I don't think it was the right people in the group, or, it was, I'm like, but really, what was it? And I think that's where they go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So give us an example. And I know you probably experienced this with maybe clients or yourself, where you realized that maybe you needed the systems, or you needed sort of the data to really look at what was happening.
Yeah. So several moments.
I mean, we all have them.
Well, and here's the thing. It's because for me personally, I always equated that when I grew up, like in business, it was always like the more hours I worked, the more money I made, right?
Yes.
So I always believed that the more effort came from more hours, right? Hence why I have to shut the door or turn off the laptop, because it's like I'm conditioned. And it's like, I work with Mindy as my mindset coach, and she's like, don't beat yourself up because you spent years like getting in on that habit. So for you to break it is not that easy. Right. But when I moved into this online space, I really quickly realized that that's not the case in this world, which is lovely to hear, right? It's like a beautiful thing where you can do all this and either not see the growth because you're like, oh, I'm doing all the things that they're telling me. But again, you're not looking at the data. And when I started to lean into the systems, that really changed everything, because once you have those real systems in place, the business doesn't rely on you manually, right? You can have the automation, you can have the team follow the process, you can actually start being seen for where your conversions are coming from and where they are dropping off, right? So for me, for example, and kind of what I have developed is that most people think like a funnel, for example, is landing pages where you sign up for something, right? And the big shift that I had, and now what I teach, are actually funnel systems. So it's not just the funnel itself. It's like, your traffic system, your sales system, right? Your follow-up system, your fulfillment, because that's the fine line that I always cross is from marketing to fulfillment, like your retention, like it all works together. And when you start looking at business that way, that's when the real leverage happens, because now you're not just working more, you're improving the machine that generates those leads, the sales, and really creates these raving fans that buy from you again and again and refer you to others.
Yeah, I want to pause really quick. And can you go back through the categories of those systems? Because I think those are really, really important.
Yeah. So you have your traffic system, right? So that could even be like 3 or 4, right? So if you're doing ads, that's one thing. If you're doing collabs, that's another thing, right? If you're doing YouTube. So it's really like your system that's coming in. And then you talk about like your lead system. Okay. If you're doing some sort of a launch mechanism, so that could be a webinar, a challenge, what does that look for you? Then you have your sales system, right? If you're doing sales, what kind of follow-up nurture-ish that you're doing? Fulfillment is huge, right? Because it's like, I feel like, what do they say that a lot of people think that the sale ends in the transaction, but it really ends in the transformation, right? I got that right.
Yes.
So I think that's what a lot of people miss, and or think that marketing is not a part of that. And it totally is, right? And then that's when we're talking about fulfillment, retention, because then you start getting referrals and other things from there, resales and stuff from that side. So it is a lot of systems in there, which seems overwhelming, and yet it's not, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love how you presented it, because it feels like a big like ecosystem that all works together. If you're listening and you're thinking about these different systems or funnels, where is one thing or one place maybe where you would start? Or if this is a very loaded question, if you're stuck, if you're feeling stuck, like where's one place that you would look at of like, hey, maybe this system or funnel needs a little tweaking?
Yeah. So yes. So what? Okay. If we're sticking to marketing, and you know what? This is one thing that I decided that I am not going to do. I'm not like, everybody has to do a webinar or everybody has to, because a lot of times you go into coaching programs and it's like, that's what the coach teaches you. So then everybody does the same thing. And then they end up thinking this is the only way to do business. And what I've been fortunate enough is to be inside these other businesses and seeing like all different ways. And I'm like, it's all in, when you talk about life first, it's like, what works for you. So let's just take a webinar. Okay. I'm just take a webinar. So when I'm looking at the webinar, then I'm looking at, okay, within the webinar, what are those points that we're going to decide because that's what people don't know is which lever to pull first. So we're talking about signups, show ups, right? Then are we selling, like who stays to the end, who's buying, like that. So then I would look at those numbers, and then sometimes it's a clear marker, like it's almost like that pink neon sign. And then sometimes people say, oh, I only have like a 5% sales conversion. I need more sales. And I'm like, really though? I'm like, what about the signups? You're like, maybe the landing page conversion is only at 15%. Well, what if we can get that up to 20 or up to 18, right? Now we're going to look at the show ups. Well, right. So it's like, I look at which number that if I can just pull this, then what's going to happen to the sales? Because if I keep that 5% conversion, but now I have more people sign up and, if this is a lever that's going to get the same number of people to show up and convert, now I'm already getting more sales. Right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like that. I look at it as visibility, then connection, right? Who's engaging, and then who's converting. So I kind of look at those 3. So if you can kind of keep those in your mind with whatever funnel that you're using, then you can kind of see, well, wait, where is it really? Do I really need more eyeballs? Because I do have a lot of people say that too. Like, I just need more people. And I'm like, you're only closing 0.5% or whatever that looks like. I'm like, maybe we need to work on the sales mechanism, because you're having enough people come on, you're just not converting enough, right? So it all just depends on what your numbers look like.
Yeah. When you're looking at the data, do you have any tools that are sort of your favorite to help you?
I use a Google Sheet. I actually use
everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Google Doc.
I know. I have a licensed version of High Level. It's called Optima Funnel. So this is something, and I pre-built a bunch of funnel systems in there for people. And part of which, what I really like about it is because I like the ability to split tests and then see, or the traffic sources, and then I can see what's converting at what, right? And then I also use another system for webinars, for example. And then, so whatever webinar system, if you're doing that, I would definitely probably stay away from Zoom because it's not going to give you the data where it shows you how many people showed up, how long they stayed, where are they dropping off. Like all those things are so important for you to kind of do it with a lot less effort because it's already tracking it for you. And what's super huge, and I know you talk about this too, is the personalization, right? So can you imagine, one thing I hate is when I get an email, it's like, hey, you want to buy my thing? And I'm like, dude, I just bought it. I don't feel special anymore. And should I ask for a refund? Because you're not even giving me a great experience from the get-go. Right. So I think the personalization is also huge because people want to feel seen and heard. And let's just be real. None of us invented anything that we're selling. So, right. So it's like, why would they want to work with us? And, you know, I like, and if you don't want to work with me, that's fine too. I want to work with the people that, you know, we vibe together and we're going to have fun together and we're going to make money together. You know, what does that look like? And I think a lot of those ways is what's going to help you do that.
Yeah. I love this so much. You talk about the 1% conversion effect. And so, I mean, if you're listening, I think data is really, really important, but also, you know, being aware of what's happening in your business and not like having blinders on. So talk to us what that means.
Yeah. So I came up with this concept because I really went back and I looked at like, how am I helping people? I did go through a little self-doubt thing. Like, I don't know if I can get everybody to scale. And then I'm like, wait a minute, Michelle, like I worked with some pretty big people and helped them make a ton of money, like even going from multiple 6 to multiple 7 figures in just a couple of years. And I'm like, wait, how did I do that? Because sitting in my own masterminds and my own coaching programs, like a lot of people think like, maybe because they were promised, but they think I'm going to go from making $5,000 a month to $100,000 a month. And I'm going to do it in the next launch. And I'm like, spoiler alert, it does not happen that way. And so what I decided is a lot of people, when I did some market research, is that they're like, oh, yeah, or they don't want to work with you because you're making $1 million and I'm only making $5,000 a month because they feel like it's so far. It's not attainable. Right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, when I went back and looked at it, if I improve something by 1%, think about even when we talked about the sales, if I was doing 5% and I went to 6%, do the math on that. Like, have you actually done the math on 1%? And what happens is that when you come into it and say, okay, if I can just improve 1% each time, maybe that's daily, maybe that's weekly. It's like, what happens, it doesn't just go 1%, 1%. All of a sudden it goes 1% to maybe 3%, and then 3 to 8, and then 8 to 20. Like it just starts to compound because you're so focused in. And I personally think mentally, you're thinking in these tiny tweaks. So it's like, what are these tiny tweaks that we can make? And then and then even somebody said to me, okay, Michelle, now you told me the lever and I did the 1%. Now I'm done. I'm like, oh, no.
There's always 1% more, right?
Not only that is because a lot of people also look at KPIs and benchmarks, which you absolutely should. However, I'm not like, okay, yay, you're at industry benchmark. I'm like, no. This is now your new benchmark. So how can we now get it 1% higher, right? So it's just like, it kind of removes the pressure from you. And at the same time, you are in momentum. And what does Tony Robbins say? Like, people want to grow, they want to move, they want to this. And when you're in that loop, in that spiral, not only is your business going womp womp, right? Your confidence and what you're saying to yourself also gets you down, which is why people want to end up scrapping everything all together, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
I love that. If you're listening, benchmarks or KPI, key performance indicators, what are some of your favorite ones to track?
Ooh. Well, when we're talking the webinars, I like the sign up, show ups, and sales for sure. When we're talking lead magnets, for sure, like how many sign ups are we getting? Actually, more of the conversion rate, right? So I don't know if your audience run ads or even like if you have any organic, it's like I'm always like, what is the effort that you're putting in? What is that getting back? Because there is, even though not maybe a financial return, it is financial because it's your time that you're spending in there, right? When it comes to fulfillment, right? I'm skipping right over the sales because obviously sales, we want them the most that we can. When I look at fulfillment, I'm really looking on how many people are finishing, because a lot of people buy, I'm totally guilty of this, and don't complete the course, right? So you cannot get people to buy from you again, most likely, if they haven't finished. You can't get them to be a raving fan. Oh my gosh, Holly got me these great results, you know, to refer for you to use as a testimonial, right? If they do not finish. So I'm always looking, okay, what I call it the map to millions, like you're building your ecosystem, and including in that is like, okay, what milestones, what touch points can I put in place in a system automatically that it looks like I'm checking in on them, and they can reply back and maybe do something, but how am I getting them to finish?
Yes, I love this. Give us an example maybe of what you're seeing convert the best right now. So a lot of times I'll hear, you know, sales are slow. I need to launch more. I don't have enough traffic. What are some of the, I don't want to say trends because I don't always think trends convert, but what are some of the activities that you're seeing like really help increase sales right now?
I think it's coming more with, and I say I think because we're always testing.
It changes every day, right?
We're always testing. And you know, like again, because like, for example, somebody was doing video ads, right? And their ads crush it. But then so somebody else goes to do videos and they're like, oh, my videos aren't working. And I'm like, okay, your audience doesn't watch videos. You know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't mean videos don't work. So I really believe it's how you can stand out, it's all about the experience. Okay. And I think that's what it comes down to, because with AI, nobody knows what is what. We're really trying to build this trust. So when it comes to that, it's like, what is my, if you want to call it, unique selling position, or what am I known for? Right. And I think that's where people are really starting to create this human. When you're going to create content now, they're like, use AI and that will really help you. But then everybody else is using AI.
Right.
Right. Or everybody else is using the, whatever those, I don't even know what they're called, because I don't want to use, and my daughter keeps telling me, Mom, don't use the AI stuff because everybody's onto you. And I'm like, okay. But we're hearing that's what we should be doing. Right. So I think those are the biggest things right now that it's really standing out. And again, just creating the experience from day one with your clients and how you're getting them to convert.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite experiences that you have either created or seen from a like systemized approach?
A couple of them. One was, I think they're both referrals.
Yeah.
So usually people ask for referrals when you finish, right? And I've had 2 experiences where I had my onboarding call, and in the onboarding call, they asked me for a referral. And I will tell you, the whole beginning process experience, I was already blown away. And I think they knew that, because that's why they were like, hey, do you know any other agencies that would want to blah, 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 right?
Interesting.
Did she just ask me? And I'm like, she did. I'm like, you go. Then another one that was an actual system, like automated. It was a 6-week thing. And then like 2-3 weeks in, like, so for you to gain momentum, it was just a simple, hey, how likely would you be to refer me to whatever? And if you basically scored a 4 or higher, now you go into a referral, right? Hey,
interesting.
Great, ambassador, whatever they called it. You earn these type of things. If you'd like to apply here, blah, 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 blah. And it kind of brings you on this track, put that in. And I thought that was, especially with the system, I'm like, oh, you don't even have to think that. And I just want to say this for the systems is a lot of times people feel like, oh, well, I'm not talking to them. You can. You can always hit reply back for this. You can put it in, in a pipeline for you to follow up with whoever answers this. Maybe you send them you can still do whatever works best for you, but it's so nice to have that in there and get those people when they're ready. Another thing that I really like, for example, with the webinar system, I'm talking about this because a lot of my clients
I mean, people
webinars
relate to webinars, so I love it. I love the example.
is in the webinar software. It's like when somebody clicks on the offer live, right? Then we're sending something right out to them, right? It's kind of like, well, first it makes sure that there's no buyer tag.
Right.
And then it's like, hey, whatever. So I have customers that are doing it two ways. One is that they're doing it automatically, like in their automation or workflow. And then another one is it actually sends a message to the team member. And the team member, like the setter or the closer, is saying, hey, I saw this. You know, what questions did you have? How can I help you? And then they're trying to get them on the call. So it could be done, again, to however you run your business.
Yeah, those are really, really great examples. I want to ask a couple rapid fire questions. I feel like I could ask questions about customer experience and systems all day long. So what is one email funnel metric everyone should watch?
The click rate.
The click rate. And what would you do if it was not what you wanted it to be?
Drive the click. Because a lot of people don't even put the click in there. That's why I said that. But yes, what's so compelling? Because you're nurturing them. Right. So it's not, if you get you, obviously it's open rate, right? But it's like, okay, once you get them to open, then what? Like you want them to take an action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. What's one system that saved you the most time in your own business?
I would definitely say my daily actions. Mm-hmm. And so nothing falls off the list. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I actually have mine right here. It's like daily, 1, 2, 3, get it done. What's one belief about scaling an online business that you think needs to be let go of?
You don't have to be a 7-figure business or 8-figure business. You do you, boo-boo, right? It's kind of like whatever really works for you, because some people are like, yeah, I'm going 7. And other people are like, oh, wait, that's too much pressure. I don't need that much. I remember I was in sales. I went to work for Bank of America for a minute in the mortgage wholesale. And I remember every month there was a competition. And one of the girls was like, I'm like, oh, you don't get into this? She goes, do I need more than $20,000 a month to live off of? Not really. She's like, I'm loving my life. I work really hard. I make really good money.
Yeah.
And I was like, But everybody's so into this. It's like, you don't have to feel that pressure. You can run the business the way you want.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Such good advice. I feel like, again, there's so much we could talk about when it comes to like the little baby steps that can make such a big difference inside your funnels and your system. So if our listeners want to connect with you, tell them where they can find you and learn more about all the wonderful things you do.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram at the Michelle Fernandez. And I also have a podcast, Optimize to Monetize. So I talk about all the little things that you can do to optimize to then monetize your whole ecosystem.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Michelle.
This is so much fun. Thank you for having me.